I've been told that some of the most important life lessons you can learn are from the streets. The streets of rage. I'll stop now. You play as Blaze Fielding, DA, who after a long week of work relaxes at her local bar, only to be approached by some slimeball who wants to get a little too friendly. So she tosses him through a nearby window, killing him instantly, only to realize he was the son of the local mob boss. Now Blaze must fight for her life, and clean up the city one corpse at a time. Okay, so maybe that isn't the actual plot of this game, but I think everyone will agree when I say mine is way better than 3 21-year-old ex-cops taking up vigilantism. Also, they're 21 and ex-cops. Did they get fired their first day or something? Hey Capcom, get into talks with Sega, have some post-launch DLC, add Leon Kennedy through the Sega Genesis Live Marketplace. His special abilities could be his roundhouse kick and whipping out his knife and chucking it at some guy's forehead. It'd be awesome. Now the game is a fairly basic 2D side-scrolling brawler. You move from one side of the screen to the other, kicking the ass of anyone who gets in your way. Now you've got 3 basic moves: jump, punch, and one special, which calls in the local police to take out the trash. It's fairly basic, but it's not bad. It's fairly well refined. Now I don't typically like games existing solely for marketing reasons, but I think Streets of Rage gets a bit of a pass here. See, it existed solely to give the Genesis some competition for the Super Nintendo having Final Fight, and I think that Streets of Rage gets a bit of a pass here because not only is it fairly competent competition for Final Fight, I think it's a better game. I think that the aesthetic is fairly good. The streets look kind of grungy and dark, but you'll find some splashes of color through neon lights, and you'll see a poster waving in the breeze or a can rolling down the street, and it's kind of detailed. Now, the sound on the Genesis was not that great, and this game kind of suffers from that problem. There's some really good tracks, such as the 3rd level, which you're listening to now, as well as the victory theme. But they're all kind of plingy, and quite frankly, Streets of Rage did not hit its stride in terms of audio until the 2nd game. The most brilliant thing about the sound design, though, every time you kill an enemy, they let out a blood-curdling scream. It just makes killing every enemy really satisfying, and you hope to hear it every time you land a blow, because it signifies a small victory as part of a bigger one, and is just satisfying on its own. And if that wasn't cool enough, you regain health by eating apples you find under trash cans. Genius! There is literally no learning curve here. You move right, you kick ass. There's only 3 buttons, so you can't really get them mixed up or need any real tutorial. You're thrown into the action right away, which is the best way to learn, I think. One more really cool feature about combat was whenever you land a blow on an opponent, it stuns them for a fairly decent amount of time. So even one person can handle being surrounded, and you can easily handle several opponents all at once. This is kind of neat because it doesn't require a second person. Most of the replayability from Streets of Rage comes simply from trying to beat your best score, and trying to beat the game in general, as it only gives you a certain number of continues before you're booted back to the start. So you can't just continue after you die, and it tries to recreate the whole arcade experience, and I think that's a pretty effective way of doing it. You have 3 different characters that all control slightly differently and have different stats. But as a game that exists to combat Final Fight, I think it does a very good job. You can get this game on the Sega Genesis through several compilations, the newest one to my knowledge being the Ultimate Genesis Collection on the PS3 and Xbox 360, a downloadable Streets of Rage collection now on the Xbox Live Marketplace. And quite frankly, I think anyone who likes side-scrolling brawlers should probably have this in their library, as it's one of the staples. But that's Streets of Rage, a game that teaches you the hard life lessons of the street and street justice.